Hello and welcome everyone, and now after understanding the design of single and compound sections in compression members, now let us discuss the design of some built up type of columns. And we have discussed that there are laced and battened columns which come under the category of built up columns. In built up columns, we take simple sections like angle sections or basically the channel sections, and when we put two channel sections either face to face or back to back, and then if we connect these two channel sections with the help of some lateral systems like lacings or battening, so such a type of column is called laced and battened columns. So why we go for such built up columns? Because we know that buckling PCR buckling load is inversely proportional to the slenderness ratios square. Okay, and we want that our column would not buckle very easily, isn't it? Our columns should not buckle very easily, so that's why we go from simple sections to compound sections. And in compound section we want that our buckling load value should be very high, PCR value should be very high. So for that, slenderness ratio has to be really less. Okay, slenderness ratio should be lesser and lesser, and we know that slenderness ratio is equal to effective length by radius of gyration, and radius of gyration is taken the minimum value out of the two radius of gyration available for the major axis and minor axis. And we know that minor axis is the critical axis along which buckling occurs, and the minor axis have least value of radius of gyration. So now we are going to make a column in which we want to make our minor axis as a major axis. Okay, so just like if this is my built up columns, you are seeing this section here, this is the channel kept here, and both these channels are being connected with dotted members like this, and this is a lacing system. So there are two axes, and one is this XX axis, or sometimes it is written as ZZ axis, and other is YY axis. So most of the time the buckling occurs along the YY axis, most of the time, because YY axis becomes the minor axis and XX axis is the major axis. But here we are going to make our XX axis as the minor axis. So for that we are going to place these two channel sections at such a distance from this centroid so that the IYY value becomes equal to IXX value, or we can say in other words RYY value becomes equal to RXX value. Okay, what is the relation between moment of inertia and radius of gyration? Moment of inertia is equal to A times radius of gyration square. Alright, so this is the basic concept behind design of built up columns. So here we want to achieve maximum value for minimum radius of gyration. So we want to maximize this radius of gyration here, R minimum, we want to maximize it. And when we maximize this minimum value of radius of gyration, our lambda value becomes lesser and lesser. Okay, and we can't increase or decrease this length of the column, this is fixed. Okay, KL is fixed. So in order to decrease the value of slenderness ratio, we have to increase this minimum radius of gyration, and when slenderness ratio decreases, the buckling capacity of the section increases. Okay, so we want to achieve maximum value for minimum radius of gyration without increasing the area of the section. This is very important, we don't want to increase the area. But here what we are going to do, that we are going to place a number of elements in such a way that the principal axis using suitable lateral systems such a way that the minor axis becomes the major axis. Okay, and commonly used lateral systems are lacings or latticing, and the second one is the battening. And cover plates, perforated cover plates are also used for this purpose. However, IS 800 do not give any specification for design of such plates. So we will stick only to the design of laced columns and battened columns. So let us see what is this lacing. Okay, so actually lacing members are either steel flats, okay, steel flats or the angle sections, and these two simple sections are used as lacing. And one can use single lacing or double lacing system as shown in the figure below. And the objective of providing lateral system is to keep the main members. Now these channel members are the main members, all right, which are going to bear the load, and to keep the main members of the column away from the principal axis ones. Okay, in doing so, the lacings are subjected to shear forces. And this is very wonderful point, that lacings or battenings both are subjected to shear forces due to horizontal forces on columns. So we have to design all and each and every element of this laced column one by one. So why do we provide lacing? Basically to keep the main members at a distance away from the centroid in such a way that our major axis becomes the minor axis. So we want to make this XX axis as the minor axis. Okay, so in this case XX axis become the minor axis. So that means RYY will be greater than RXX. Okay, although in most of the cases of the single section RYY is always less than RXX, but in laced columns and battened columns we are designing in such a way that RYY becomes greater than RXX. Then the YY axis will become the major axis and XX axis becomes the minor axis. So that's why the buckling strength will increase. And you can see the single lacing system on which single lacing is being done is shown above, and we can see on both face, the front face and the back face, lacing is being done in such a way that they appears shadow of each other. You see this mirror here, this is mirror just for your convenience to understand that on front face and back face, on face A and face B, lacing should appear that they are shadow of each other. And in double lacing column, you don't need to worry, on face A and face B both are coinciding the same pattern. Okay, whereas in case of battens, instead of lacing one can use also battens to keep the members of column at required distances. And here in this figure it shows the use of batten plates. So these plates here are called batten plates. Okay, and the purpose of these plates are to keep these main members of the column at a certain distance D here. Okay, so this is the distance D, all right, and they are being bolted or riveted or welded at a specified distance C here. Okay, and you can see the cross sectional diagram also for the battened columns, and this is a channel section being kept face to face, and the battens are shown with the dotted lines. So let us start the design of laced columns, and this would be very interesting. And I have checked all the points being given in the IS 800 2007 are written in much more organized way in this book, and that's why I am referring to this notes. And you will also find it interesting and easier to learn the design of laced columns. So it says, according to IS 800 2007, these are the following rules laid down for the design of laced columns. and it says that as far as possible latticing shall be uniform throughout. In single lace system, the direction of lattices on opposite faces should be shadow of each other. It should not be mutually opposite. And in bolted or riveted construction, because we have to do air holes, so the minimum width of lacing members shall be 3 times the nominal width of the bolt or rivet. So if we are using M16 bolt, so the width, this is the width of a flat member, so it should be 3 times the diameter of hole. Okay, and the thickness of flat lacing bar shall not be less than 1/40. So this thickness is to be kept not less than, it should be greater than 1/40 of the effective length of single lacing. So L effective. Okay, so this is the thickness and the width of the lacing member given here. And lacing bars shall be inclined at 40 degree to 70 degree to the axis of built-up member. And as we have discussed, the basic purpose of design of built-up column, that distance between the two main members, two main channel members, should be kept such that the RYY becomes greater than RZZ. That means RYY or the YY axis becomes the major axis and ZZ axis becomes the minor axis. Okay, where RYY is the radius of gyration about weaker axis and RZZ is the radius of gyration of stronger axis of individual member. Okay, visually a channel or a angle section have lesser value of RYY and higher value of RZZ. But here we are going to design in such a way that RYY becomes greater than RZZ. Maximum spacing of lacing bar shall be such that the slenderness of the main member between consecutive lacing connection is not greater than 50 or 0.7 times the most unfavorable slenderness ratio of the member as a whole. So try to understand this point. This point is about the local buckling. And in local buckling, we talk of a local failure only. So the maximum spacing of lacing bar shall be such that, now there is one lacing bars like this and one lacing bars like this, and these lacings are connecting two main members like this. Okay, and this spacing should be such that this length, I am talking of this length, local length of the main member, this should not buckle. Okay, so in local buckling there is buckling of one of a local part of the member, whereas in global buckling the entire member gets buckled. So in local buckling the distance should not be such that the slenderness ratio, in this case it should not exceed 50 or 0.7 times the global slenderness ratio. So this we will see in the numerical also how we do it. Now as we have discussed that because of provision of lacings they are subjected to shear forces. So what is the magnitude of shear forces? So lacings shall be designed to resist transverse shear Vt, which is equal to 2.5% of axial force which is coming on the columns. So axial force, if it is Pu, then Vt will be 2.5% of Pu. And if we have used two transverse parallel system, then each system has to resist Vt by 2 shear force. And if there is bending, so we have to include the bending shear also, but it will not be there in our case. And now this is also important, that effective length of single lace system is equal to the length between the inner end fastener. So it is very easy, from the joints we can see and understand what is this. 11th point is very important, and you can see that it says that slenderness ratio KL by R for lacing bars also, the flats or angle section, it should not exceed this value of 145. So we will check it in numerical also. And the effective slenderness ratio, this is very important, effective slenderness ratio of the entire laced columns globally shall be taken as 1.05 times the actual maximum slenderness ratio. So here we have to multiply KL by R into 1.05 to get the global slenderness ratio. Okay. Now let us understand this example being given here, and from this example we can understand all these points being said here. Okay. So here it says that design a laced columns with two channels back to back. Okay. Try to understand the language of question. Of length 10 meter to carry an axial factored load of 1400 kilonewton. So the length of column is 10 meter and there are two channels kept back to back and lacing has to be done, and the factored load PU is equal to 1400 kilonewton, and the columns may be assumed to have restrained in position, that means restrained in translation, but not restrained in direction. But not restrained means free in rotation at both ends. So that means the both ends are connected with hinged joints. So there is hinge joint at the boundary conditions. So in that case we take the effective length is equal to 1 times the exact length of the column. So here now we have to assume few value of FCD. Now why we do assumption here? Just to get the approximate value of area which is required for the columns. Now if we assume this value of FCD 135 Newton per mm square, and by assuming this FCD value we can guess the approximate area required for the main members of the columns. Now area required can be found by PU into 1000 is done because PU value is in kilonewton, and when we divide it by FCD we get this value of area. And now we have to choose the column sections in such a way that total area of two channel section becomes equal to this much area or even greater than this. So from steel tables we have chosen this channel section to ISMC 350. Okay, and when we choose this channel section, and here try 2 Indian standard medium channel 350 is said. So here we are using 2 channel section which we will keep back to back. So total area will be twice of individual area of the channel section, and it is equal to 2 times 5366 equal to this value, and this value is surely greater than 10370 millimeter square. Okay, so area we have provided is larger than what is required. Now in this case RZZ, which is the measure axis, is equal to 136.6, but as we have learned that now in this case RYY will become greater than RZZ. So RZZ is the minimum value of radius of gyration. So we have to calculate the slenderness ratio as per this value. So let us calculate first of all. The same thing is written here. Distance between two channel sections will be maintained in such a way that RYY will become greater than RZZ. So of course RZZ is the minimum value of radius of gyration. So let us use this value only, and as I said, when the column is having hinged joint at both ends, then in that case effective length becomes equal to 1 times the exact length. So here KL by R, actual slenderness ratio, is equal to KL by R, and K value is equal to 1, length is 10 meter. So we have converted it into millimeter, 10,000 millimeter, and RZZ value is 136. So this is my actual slenderness ratio. But since it is a laced columns, so effective slenderness ratio becomes 1.05 times the actual slenderness ratio, and that's why we have multiplied 1.05 here, and this is the actual slenderness ratio for a laced columns. Now we know that a built up column, since laced column is a built up columns, and if you remember the buckling class table, table number 10, in that the last row says that any category of built up columns will come under the buckling class C. Okay, so buckling class C, if you know, and you have to basically prefer to use the table 9C. Okay, so here table 9C you have to use, and you can calculate the exact value of FCD here from the method of interpolation. So KL value by R value, lambda value is equal to 76 here, 76.87, and you can get the value for 70 and 80, the value of FCD, and here Fy is equal to 250 megapascal as usual in the course. Now FCD value is this 141 Newton per mm square by the method of interpolation, and now we can calculate the load, which is equal to FCD into gross sectional area, and we have multiplied it, and this is greater than the factored load. So our section is sufficient in taking up this much compressive load safely. Now we have to decide what should be the spacing between the channels. Well, channels are kept back to back like this. Okay, now in this diagram you can see this is my main member. Okay, this is one channel section and this is another channel section. Both are kept back to back. Now what should be the distance between these two channel sections? This has to be decided, and we know that RYY or IYY in this case, if we want to make YY axis as the major axis, then we have to make it equal to somehow other IXX. And from the steel table we can get the value of area of the channel section, value of IYY and IXX for individual channel section already given in that, or from the back tables in the IS 800. So IXX value is equal to 2 times this value, because there are 2 channel sections. So IXX value is given. Now we have to calculate the value of IYY. IYY will be different because you have made this type of channel section. In this case, this is my XX axis. Okay, so XX axis will not differ here, even if we keep the distance value whatsoever, but IYY value will differ, and it will depend on the value of this distance d, because IYY value is given along this centroid of the channel section. So here we have to do parallel axis theorem for both the channel section, and the same thing is being done here. IYY value is equal to 2 times. Now why here is 2? Because there are 2 channel section. Okay, and when this is being multiplied with IYY for individual channel section plus area of channel section plus d by 2, because one channel is at a distance of d by 2 from the centroid, plus 24.4, this is the centroidal distance. Okay, so when you do this, this is very easy, and here we are just calculating IYY, and when you equate IYY and IXX, you get the value of d. So we provide d is equal to 220 millimeter, and as shown in the figure, and let us provide the lacing at an angle 45 degree to the horizontal. So total horizontal spacing of lacing will be 220 plus 60 plus 60 equal to 340 mm, and here gauge is the 60 mm gauge distance. And vertical spacing, why we are calculating vertical spacing? 340 tan 45 degree into 2, 630 mm. Why we have calculated this? For the local buckling failure. So this is my cross sectional and elevation diagram of the laced columns, and now you can see this is the vertical spacing. okay, this distance, okay, and angle of this lacing is 45 degree. So this 60 mm is kept as the gauge and D is equal to 220. So we can calculate that this much value is equal to 340. And from trigonometry we can get this vertical spacing equal to 680 mm, okay. And we know that the least radius of gyration for one channel, because in local buckling what happens, if this becomes critical part in local buckling, then there is chance that this column which you are seeing here as vertical, it may buckle like this, okay, it may buckle like this. So that's why we are considering least R value for one individual channel section, and that is obviously RYY, and we have taken this least radius of gyration. And when we calculate the slenderness ratio for individual channels in local buckling, so KL by R of channel between lacing will be equal to 680 by 28.3, and this is equal to 24, and as it should be less than 50, okay, it should be less than 50, and it should also be less than 0.7 times as we have done 1.05 into 73. This is the global slenderness ratio, okay. So it should also be less than this value also. So this is very less, so we can check that, and this condition is also satisfied. So there is no case of local buckling, okay. Now what about the transverse shear which is going to be subjected on the lacing system? So it will be equal to 2.5% of the compressive load, and compressive load is 1400 kilonewton. So this much shear force is going to come on each lacing members. So there are lacing at front and back. So we have to divide this transverse shear by 2 to get this value of shear force that is going to come on each lacing system. Now length of lacing can be calculated by trigonometry, and this comes out to be 480 mm, and thickness of lacing is equal to 1 by 40 of the length of the effective length of the lacing. So this comes out to be 12 mm. So here we are going to use 14 mm flats, okay. So flats are the steel section, and we have chosen 14 mm flats. So thickness of flats is 14 mm. Now we have to decide how much width of the flat section we have to use, and if we are going to use M20 bolts, so we have to provide at least 3 times the diameter of hole, at least like that. So that's why we have chosen 60 mm width Indian standard flat of 14 mm thickness. Use 60 mm width Indian standard flat of 14 mm thickness, and this is the diagram of cross section of the Indian standard flat which we have used. And for each lacing also we have to check the slenderness ratio, and it should be less than 145 as we have discussed. So in this case R minimum will be calculated along this axis, because this is the YY axis in this case, or this is minimum, and this is the XX axis in this case. So if you calculate in this case, it will be equal to R minimum will be equal to root under IYY by area of the flats. So IYY equal to 1 by 12 into 60 into 14 cube, and area is equal to 16 into 40. So minimum radius of gyration is this, and when we do the slenderness ratio lambda for each lacing KL by R, so length of lacing bar comes out to be 480 mm as we have done already here. You can see this is the length of column, and this is the effective length, in fact KL. So KL by R now we can do, and it comes out to be 118.97, which is less than 145. So that condition is also satisfied. And if we are using strength M20 bolts, so we have to calculate the strength of one bolt in single shear. So this can be done again like this, okay, and this is in shear condition, and in bearing strength comes out to be this, and we have to choose the minimum out of these two, which is equal to this much value. Now how many bolts do I have to provide on each lacings, since the shear force that is coming on each lacing is 17,500 Newton. Now the bolt can take 45,272 Newton force very easily. So number of bolts required will be 70,500 divided by 45,272, and it comes out to be 0.387. So we round it off and we say that we are going to provide one bolt, okay. So that's why we have provided one bolt on each lacing. And if we check the strength of lacing also, FCD value, so we know that a flat is a solid section and it also belongs to buckling class C, so we have to use the table number 9C. And if we know the value of slenderness ratio, which is equal to 118.97, and Fy value is 250 megapascal, so FCD can be calculated like this. So FCD value is this. Now area of flat is equal to 60 into 14 mm square, and we can calculate the load carrying capacity in compression is equal to 71,251 Newton. And if we calculate the force in lacing by trigonometry, it comes out to be 24,749, which is much less than the capacity of the lacing member. So that's why we are going to provide 60 ISF 14 flats at 45 degree and connect them to center of gravity of channels with one of the M20 bolts. Alright, so this is how we design laced columns. And if we are going to discuss the design of battened columns, of course the design is slightly different in this case, but the concept is same here. We are going to place the main members with the help of lateral systems. Here will be battens, and there will be also steel flats or angles or I sections whatsoever, in such a way that the members are kept as much far possible from the centroid, and the minor axis becomes the major axis. That means RYY value should become greater than RXX. So IS 800 2007 specifies many rules for the design of battened columns also, and in this case battened plates shall be provided symmetrically on the front face and back face. At both ends battened plates should be provided, okay. The number of battens shall be such that member is divided into not less than 3 ways, means at least we should use 4 batten plates, okay, and this should be spaced and proportioned uniformly throughout. And battens can be plates, angles, channels or I sections, and at their ends shall be riveted, bolted or welded. So the main concept is this: by providing battens, distance between the members of column is so maintained that radius of gyration about the axis perpendicular to the planes of batten, which is RYY, is not less than the radius of gyration about the axis parallel to the plane of batten, that is RXX. So basic concept remains same here. RYY should be greater than RXX. We design in such a way. And here effective slenderness ratio of battened columns will be equal to 1.1 times the maximum slenderness ratio. So in this case the effective slenderness ratio becomes equal to 1.1 times the maximum actual slenderness ratio, whereas in laced columns we used to multiply with 1.05. So here this is the change, 1.1. And vertical spacing of battens measured at center to center of its end fastening shall be such that, now this is about local buckling, okay, and it means that spacing should be such that slenderness ratio of any individual component of column over the distance shall be neither greater than 50. Okay, the same thing, same value, local buckling, and or nor greater than 0.7 times the slenderness ratio of the member as a whole. So it should neither be greater than 0.7 times 1.1 into actual slenderness ratio. Okay, so these are the limits which you have to check in case of calculation. So the calculation will remain same here also, and battens are also subjected to shear forces, and they are also designed to carry the bending moments arising from transverse shears Vt equal to 2.5% of the total axial force. And here design shear and moments for batten plates is given by this formula. Vv is equal to this and moment is equal to this at each connection, where Vt is transverse shear force as we have discussed, which is equal to 2.5% of axial compressive load, and C is the distance between center to center of battens longitudinally. Okay, and N is the number of parallel planes, and S is the minimum transverse distance between the centroid of fasteners connecting batten to the main member. And of course, effective depth of end batten shall not be less than this, and then the thickness of batten shall not be less than 1/50th of the distance between the innermost connecting lines of rivets. Alright, so all these rules are very easy to understand, and almost similar concept is again here being used, and in this given numerical also we can see how the design of built up columns is done here. And instead of lacing system, here we are going to make a battened columns. So in this case the same thing is given, everything remains same, so that's why we have again chosen the same channel section here, and here clear spacing is kept like this. Why this is being kept? So that Ryy remains greater than Rxx. So this is already being done. Alright, now KL/R in this case will be equal to 1.1. Why 1.1? Because this is a battened column. So this is clear, and distance between center of channels will be equal to 340 mm if 60 mm is the gauge distance. So similarly the design of batten has to be done, and if we know the value of C, so we have to calculate the radius of gyration of one channel in local buckling, and it should be less than 50 and it should be less than 0.7 times this actual slenderness ratio. Okay, so these values are chosen, and then Vt is equal to 2.5% of axial load. Okay, and from here we calculate the bending moment and the shear force going to come at each connection by the formula, using all the formulas, and then we choose the size of battens as per the given dimensions, and then we check for the stresses in batten plates, and finally we check how many number of bolts that we have to provide. So we divide the load that is going to come on each battens by the strength of one bolt, and we round it off that we are going to provide 3 bolts to take into account the stresses due to bending also, and forces in each bolt is calculated due to shear and due to moment, and resultant force is calculated, and it should be greater than the design strength of the bolt. So that's why we have done these calculation, and this is how we basically go for the design of laced columns or battened columns. So of course if you do this numerical and try to study it, you will find it very interesting, and the next video, which will be probably the last video of column compression members, and in that we will be discussing about the column splice and the column bases, specifically the gusseted base and slab base, and there we will finish our compression members. So stay tuned and stay safe. Thank you.